It's a podcast.
It's a podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Jukebox Zeros. I'm Lils.
And I'm Patrick.
This is the podcast where your idols come to die.
To diddly ding dong die.
It does not feel like winter out at all.
It doesn't. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's.
I was just walking around outside a little earlier. It's picturesque.
Oh, so yeah, my wife is thrilled because she planted some bulbs sometime like last fall, and they just started to sprout up. She was like, "Oh my god!" It like just made her day.
Susan and I were just walking around downtown Lowell earlier, and we are full of soup.
Yeah.
I've always said that about you.
Some people are full of beans. I'm full of soup. We'll introduce who that was in a little bit. But first, we got a very important apology section for you.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
So before I get into the main apology here, do you have anything you want to apologize for, Pat?
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry if I'm cranky today. I'm just a little cranky. That's it.
That's it? No explanation behind that? Just you're cranky?
I just know I am, and I'm just warning
Cranky
you.
old man Pat?
Yeah, at least I'm acknowledging it, okay? I'll figure out... I have trouble processing my emotions sometimes. I'll figure out what it is like in 10 years.
All right. So look out for that in
10 years.
the 13th year of Jukebox Zeros when we finally review Love Beach. I have something important to apologize for. One would think that we should be apologizing for last week when we lost an entire, section of the thing that we recorded due to technical issues.
We lost the LaToya Jackson clip, which,
yeah.
I don't know, can we even talk about it now? I don't even remember. It was a country song.
Yes. It was a country song by LaToya Jackson, and we lost it in technical issues.
Yeah.
But that's
Someone's looking out for LaToya out there.
Jesus stands LaToya.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to apologize for. Instead, I want to apologize for one Road Rat 15 out of Australia, whom we have clearly wronged because he gave us our first ever 1-star review on Apple Podcasts. I mean, I should be, disappointed because someone gave us a 1-star review, but at the same time, kind of feels like we've arrived.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just to elicit that sort of reaction from someone. Someone took time out of their day to share these thoughts.
And apparently we have some listeners in Australia, so that's rad.
That is really cool.
Here's what he
Even
had
though
to
they
say.
all hate us.
Tried to get through your Kiss show, but when your main voice admits to hating the subject right off the bat, you lost me. At least come in with an open mind before shitting all over the album. Half-assed attempt drowned in a sea of crappy puns. It's a cliche, but go back to your day jobs. Under the banner, zero effort, guys.
Zero effort, guys.
You get it? Because we called Jukebox Zeros. He said zero and zero laugh.
Zero effort.
Please clap.
The Kiss Army is very sensitive.
Oh, I'm sure.
They really are. You cannot anti-Kiss in any way. They get very, very upset.
So apologies to you, Road Rat 15. If you ever want to come on the podcast and review Love Beach with us in 13 years.
Last time I do a benefit for Australia.
On to other non-Australia related stuff. What do you say we introduce our guest?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Our guest is a Renaissance man of sorts. He's a radio man. He's a hip-hop man. He is the biggest Van Halen fan that I know of. Mm-hmm. It is Detention.
Hello. I actually have something Australia related.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's... This guy, his name was Juno Lee, and he was an autistic teenager from Australia, and I made a lyric video for one of my songs because he took all the lyrics for one of my songs and broke down because it's a song with a lot of references in it, and he broke down all the references and drew a diagram, and it was amazing, and he emailed it to me, so I used it as a lyric video.
Wow.
And I'm not sure what happened, but I got an email from his mom today, and he passed away at age 16.
Oh,
geez. Yeah, so that's my Australia thing, and for that I am sorry.
This episode is dedicated to this guy we just learned about.
Yeah, Juno Lee. From Melbourne.
I specifically wanted to have you on for this episode because, as I mentioned, you're the biggest Van Halen fan that I know of. But that could just mean that I'm friends with a lot of people who stan one very specific band. Like Patrick's the biggest Steely Dan fan I know of. Our friend Christopher Brown is the biggest Sigur Rós fan I know of.
Yeah.
So,
well, I am. I'm the biggest Van Halen fan, you know.
You're literally the only Sparks fan that I know.
That's not true. You know, Austin. That's who I got it from.
That's true. That's true. And Adam too.
So
and I like Sparks too.
Sometimes someone will say, like, I'm not like competitive like this at all things, but like I don't like to be out Van Halen. And
you're in a safe place. My Van Halen skills are pretty weak.
So sometimes someone will say, "Did you guys know?" And I'll be like, "You guys are just finding that out now." Like Michael McDonald wrote the lyrics and melody to "I'll Wait" from the 1984 album.
Yeah,
Really?
I didn't know that for the longest time, but that's a really cool fact.
That's an interesting.
So that's gone viral recently, and it's like I've known that for like 30 years.
That's an interesting. That's an interesting bacon connection right there.
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah. Well.
What's Todd Templeman or
Ted.
Ted Templeman produced Michael McDonald's like first solo album. So
and the Doobie Brothers.
And the Doobie Brothers.
Yeah. And he was in the next studio. Eddie Van Halen wrote this. There was no synthesizer up until that point in that band.
Right.
And there was Jump, and there was this other song, which was even more synthy than Jump, because Jump has at least guitar parts.
Right.
And David Lee Roth didn't know what to do with it. And so Michael McDonald was brought in, and he yacht rocked it out. Like, you could actually hear, if you imagine him singing it, it works.
Very nice.
Yeah, I love that song.
So I feel like we've kind of given away already what album we're going to be doing, but I guess it's also in the title. We downloaded this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no mystery here.
But let's get into the introductory essay anyway, shall we?
Go.
By far one of the biggest all-time selling rock acts of both the 1970s and the 1980s, having achieved 13 number one hits across the Billboard mainstream rock charts, and ranked highly for their high-energy live shows, infectious party-centric hard rock anthems, and one of the most celebrated and influential lead guitarists of all time, I am of course talking about Pasadena-based quartet Van Halen. At the peak of their popularity from 1974 to 1985, the band consisted of brothers Eddie and Alex Van Halen on guitar and drums respectively, Michael Anthony on bass, and flamboyant and charismatic frontman David Lee Roth. This specific configuration of the group would reach massive commercial success straight from the start, with their 1974 self-titled debut, which sold more than 10 million copies, featured a multitude of songs that would become signature hits for the group, as well as a demonstration of guitarist Eddie Van Halen's revolutionary finger-tapping solo style in the form of the track Eruption. Various other hit records would follow, including until reaching a massive peak with the album 1984, a mega-selling synth-inflected hard rock album, as we mentioned, which featured the band's only number one hit on the Billboard Hot 100 chart to date, Jump. Although the album was a smash success and a favorite of the newly developed MTV, it led to the end of the lineup as rough infighting between David Lee Roth and the rest of the group would lead to his exit. Undaunted, the group came into contact with former Montrose frontman Sammy Hagar, who promptly joined the band in 1986, prompting intense debate among fans. Continued commercial success would follow under Hagar's frontmanship, including their first ever Grammy win for the group in 1992 for their album For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge.
Oh.
But
I see what they did there.
That stands for shit.
Get it, 'cause sex! But more infighting would erupt between Hagar and the Van Halens and Anthony, leading to Hagar's exit in 1996. The band very briefly reunited with Roth during this time, but parted ways just as quickly due to more infighting. Which brings us to the band's third lineup. After Roth's second departure, Van Halen recruited Gary Cherone of Boston-based glam metal group Extreme, who'd come to success in the early 90s with their Billboard Top 10 charting acoustic ballad, More Than Words. With Cherone, Van Halen produced the 1998 record Van Halen III, so named because it was the third configuration of the group, which focused more heavily on ballads and experimentation than hard-rocking party anthems. Though the album peaked at number 4 on the US charts, sales were considered poor for the band's standards, and critical reception was mixed to negative, regularly achieving 2-star reviews or lower from Rolling Stone, the Chicago Tribune, Billboard, and of course, AllMusic.com. If you know anything about Jukebox Zeros, we stan AllMusic.com.
Right.
And now it's our turn. What do you say we listen to Van Halen 3, everybody?
No.
Okay. There it is, our shortest episode ever.
Yeah, one of these days.
So, I mean, had you heard this album prior to this, Pat?
No, I did not, and I remember that 1996 brief reunion with David Lee Roth. I actually remember that more than anything off this album, because there was a single or something that they did with the greatest hits that came out around that time. Like, what was it called? Be Wise Magic. That's what it was called, right?
Yes, that David Lee Roth reunion song.
Yeah. So they had that like short blip with David Lee Roth, and then like they were on the MTV Music Awards or something, and he was being a cock, and then they like got into a fight again. But yeah, I don't remember any. I don't remember any of the singles off this record, and I think there were 3, right?
Yeah.
So
did you have any prior knowledge detention
Of what? Of
the record?
Well, it was a really weird time for them because Sammy was out, and they brought David Lee Roth. They showed up at the MTV Video Music Awards and brought out David Lee Roth.
yeah.
And there's a guy sitting at home named Mitch Malloy, who I've actually become online friends with. Like, we've
Really?
chatted a few times. Yeah. I tried to get him on my secret project record that I had all the all-star singers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it was too synthy for him. But anyway, Mitch Malloy was hired as the new Van Halen singer.
Really?
Yeah, this is the very secret singer of Van Halen. They recorded one song, it was never released. There's a Mitch Malloy documentary, the song's played at the end. Mitch Malloy sitting at home watching the MTV Video Music Awards, and out comes his band with the old singer.
Oh,
So
man.
not only, and then David Lee Roth.
So they like didn't even tell him that he was out.
I didn't even tell him he was out.
Wow, man.
Yeah, it was one of those deals. Like when you find out something in the media, like when you find out that you lost, like a football coach, you'll find out he
that
lost his
sucks.
job in the papers. So yeah, and so then whatever. It was just It was insanity. They recorded the 2 songs. They figured out they still hated each other. Out goes Dave. Mitch Malloy's out, and I was kind of I'm not gonna say excited. I was happy for Gary Cherone because he's from Boston, and I had seen that band live. I have seen that band live at that point a couple of times. But it was cool. He was from Boston. Hey, what a great shot for him. Extreme had broken up,
Yeah.
And that was the end of the excitement, was the announcement, because the announcement came in 96. The record didn't come out till 98.
Oh man.
Yeah, so they worked on this piece of crap for 2 years.
So like in all that time, they didn't like play any shows or anything. Oh
nothing.
man.
Which, interestingly, Gary Cherone has said he wanted to tour first so that they could gel as a band, get to know each other.
That would make sense.
But Ed wanted to write right away.
Right.
I mean, that's what Queen did with what's his face, the guy from Bad Company. And
On the prior episode.
and then we got the Cosmos Rocks. So it doesn't always work, I guess.
Oh, well, Paul Rogers, yeah, the record
Paul
isn't
Rogers,
good.
that's it.
Yeah, that record isn't good, but he was good. I was surprised that he was picked. I know we're not here to talk about Queen, but I was like, well, that's a weird choice for Queen. But I saw it a concert on the old Palladia. Remember Palladia, the old live concert cable channel? It's now MTV Live. And I'm like, wow, he's nailing these songs. So whatever. It worked as far as him filling in goes. But this didn't even work for that. The band had always, the way the band worked was Eddie Van Halen had musical ideas. They weren't songs, they were riffs and solos and parts. David Lee Roth, being a student of songwriting, which he completely is, would shorten those ideas down to songs. Let's do this, that's the verse, this is the chorus, that's the bridge, throw the rest out for another idea, for another song, or we'll just get rid of it. So that the songs would be 3 minutes long. And Sammy Hagar, being a songwriter also.
He was also sort of coming from that direction.
Right. So with Gary Cherone, not that Gary Cherone's not a songwriter, but he doesn't have the clout that those other two. Like, he couldn't really stand up to Eddie.
Yeah, based on what research I'd done on this record, it did seem like Gary Cherone was perfectly content with just letting Eddie Van Halen and Alex Van Halen take the reins of everything.
That makes a lot of sense.
And that's how we ended up with all these 5-minute and longer songs.
Oh, some of them are 7 minutes long. And they wrote backwards. So usually the way they write was, like I said, Eddie would have an idea, and then the singer would hone it. And Gary was, I think, in awe, because obviously if you listen to Extreme, they obviously have a huge Van Halen influence.
Oh, yeah,
Nuno Betancourt, What the way they worked is Gary Cherone brought lyrics and Eddie wrote to the lyrics. The band had never worked that way before. And that's a very you played in bands,
Right?
That's a strange
We both
way
played
to
in bands.
Right? Okay, so I mean, I write lyrics. I do that, but I write the lyrics and the music, and sometimes I write the lyrics first. But I have an idea. It's all me.
Right.
This is me telling you, here are the lyrics. You write music. So right away, that's not how that band ever functioned. So right away, it's a mess. And then they brought in a strange producer. His name is Mike Post.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some notes about Mike Post that will... it sounds like we should just start going into the audio clips for now.
Sure, whatever you want to do.
All right, let's start listening. First, we got track number 1. This is called New World. All one word, so why? Anyway, here's the clip. So this is pretty much just an intro track.
Yeah, I actually, I'm a justice of the peace, and I do. I perform weddings.
I did not know that.
Oh no, I've performed over 100 weddings, and
multitudes.
That to me sounds like the bridesmaids coming down the aisle.
It does. It kind of does. Like I have in my notes just like coffee house counting crows, but I can see that too as
well. It's a little Christmassy for me too.
Yeah, it is a little Christmassy.
I didn't picture that, but it does kind of sound a little Christmassy.
Yeah. So the wow. That's exactly what you're looking for in a Van Halen song is a Christmassy wedding.
I mean, considering like some of the openers of their bigger albums, like 1984 had a self-titled track that was like a bombastic explosion of Blade Runner synths that gave way to the even more bombastic Jump. Yeah. And the self-titled debut had fucking Eruption going into Runnin' with the Devil, which is Runnin' with the Devil.
Right. A lot of times those there's another one, Little Guitars intro and Little Guitars. A lot of times the Van Halen instrumental pieces on records, because they all have them, are short and they lead into the next song. So it's like an intro. They go together.
Right.
This is just like, hey, if you want to have a wedding and Christmas, here's track 1. Now the album starts.
If you want to have a wedding and Christmas.
Yes.
I don't know. When bands do shit like this, it's basically like they couldn't think of a song strong enough to open the record. So they're like, let's just throw together some pretty chords. And like, that's what we got here.
I mean, clearly Eddie was into piano for this one.
There's all kinds of piano on this record.
Well, I think that's actually Mike Post playing piano.
On some of it, yeah.
I was about to mention, noteworthy in that this is the only track to feature Mike Post on piano, who produced Van Halen 3 with Eddie Van Halen. Post was brought in as a friend of Eddie's and has a long history of music, having produced tracks and records for Kenny Rogers in the first edition, Dolly Parton, and has even won a Grammy for instrumental arrangements on Mason Williams' famed hit Classical Gas.
I had Classical Gas last week after I had a classical taco.
Hi-yo!
Hey, flush.
Where he's best known, however, probably is the world of TV theme songs, having written the opening music for The Rockford Files, Hill Street Blues, The A-Team, News Radio, Doogie Howser MD, and a whole bunch more.
Wow, wait, that was Mike Post?
Yeah, that was all Mike Post.
Interesting.
At least that's what Discogs told me, and they haven't really steered me wrong before.
All right, so Hill Street Blues, that was the one.
He wrote that.
Oh, he wrote the gum gum.
He wrote the.
Oh, man. I mean, that's such a short piece of music, but he's probably still making so much royalties.
He gets paid off of that, and it is the sound of a jail door slamming, and then he samples some things on top. It's like 20 things that make that 1 second of music.
Yeah, because there's a distinct tone to it.
Yeah,
right.
So it's definitely like a sample.
That's his most famous song.
I suppose it is. I mean,
good.
I don't know. Knowing all that, I don't know if it explains the production decisions behind Van Halen 3, but it's something.
So it's funny because the Law and Order bongs or whatever, the pung pung. This Van Halen album, the first sound you hear and the last sound you hear are almost that. I didn't notice that until I listened to the album driving here. It starts with that, and then that last song ends with that. Dung. And it's like, I'm like, what the hell? I didn't even notice that all these years because I can't get through the album. I have a really hard time listening to this record.
It's like, Mike, we need a theme. We need a theme right now. We need it yesterday. Yeah. And he just opens up his sessions for Van Halen 3, takes a clip from the beginning, takes a clip from the end, just splices them together. Chunk, chunk.
There it is.
This sounds too similar. What if I pitch it down a bit so it sounds like, I don't know, a hammer hitting a coil from like a bridge?
Right. So it's not the exact same sound, but it is basically the same. It's a hit that opens and ends the album, and it's just bizarre. That I never noticed that until today.
Open with this piano key. I don't know. It's missing something.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Time for lunch. Okay, that leads us into track 2, the first, proper rock song. Well, maybe not so proper, but this is track 2, titled Without You. So after that somber guitar and piano segue, we're dropped just slap bang into this hard rocker, which was the first single off the album. It managed to reach number 1 on the mainstream rock charts for as much of a non-success that this album was.
Yeah, I don't remember this goddamn
And it had a music video that cost $1 million to make and was shot mostly at the Ice Hotel in Sweden.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
That's fun.
First thing, it's free. I mean, it's a free trip to Sweden.
Eddie Van Halen wore this weird elf hat in that video. I'm like, he was there. He was wearing like a mammoth coat and like an elf hat.
I mean, I only caught like a brief glimpse of the screenshot of it, but I thought it was like a toque or something.
Yeah, I just don't understand.
Oh, that's those fucking hats that like skiers used to wear in the
they got like the little puff ball on their head.
But it's got three.
They were the Joker hats, but
Yeah.
I swear it was a thing. Like ski nuts and skate like.
Oh, yeah, you
I mean, they're in Sweden. They're clearly going to go skiing after this.
Right, that's right. They
That's
went
a-
skiing during it.
That's a thing people do in Sweden, right?
Yeah, they go right downhill, just like this song.
So first thing I notice, and it doesn't really dissipate much as the album goes on. Stop me if you disagree, but the production on these songs sound weirdly washed out and low fidelity. Like, I mean low for a band like Van Halen, who spent much of their commercial peak just sounding really glistening and like pristinely produced and stuff like that.
I was going to bring that up. So I had a lot of issues with the kick drum. I don't know if it was just like what I was listening to it through or what, but there was just like a lot of mud happening.
Yeah, you don't hear the bass much. The entire mix of the entire record is terrible. It's an awful mix. I don't know how that happens.
Yeah, and like you said, it doesn't sound very polished. It sounds like kind of just not confident. Or something.
Maybe that was them trying to chase trends since, this was the time of, well, actually it's well past the time of grunge at this point.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
But I wouldn't be surprised if like they waited this long to be like, let's jump on that train.
Yeah, no, I think that has something to do with it. It felt like they were trying to fit in. Whereas at that same time, Aerosmith was having huge success years after what I like about Aerosmith, but they were doing almost country ballads. Like, so Aerosmith, it worked for them. And I feel like Van Halen thought, well, maybe if we adjust a little, we can be successful like Aerosmith.
We can make that lightning strike again.
Yeah. And one thing I noticed about this song, I mean, the standard rock and roll formula, verse, chorus, bridge, solo, chorus, out, right? Or something.
Yeah,
right?
it was just nonsense.
So here it is. I wrote it down because it blew my mind. I listened to it going, this is like 7 songs happening here.
All right.
So this is your first single, right? It's
Right.
6 minutes and 30 seconds long.
Yeah,
right.
It did not need to be 6 minutes and 30 seconds long.
Oh, sorry. I thought my ringer.
was not Van
I
Halen.
thought my ringer was off. Oh no, I turned I turned it on to play the Mike Post thing. All right, so here it is. Ready? Intro, verse, solo, verse, interlude, chorus, verse, interlude 2, chorus, halftime section slowdown, solo, bridge, solo, chorus, outro 1, outro 2.
Yeah, that's very complicated for a band that had previously, gotten by just fine with just like, verse, chorus, verse, party songs.
Yeah. It's rock and roll. Sometimes bands forget what they are.
3 or 4 choruses in there?
Let's see.
Choruses?
1, 2, 3 in 6 minutes.
That's way too many.
Yeah, because they needed that 6 minutes for whatever it was they were trying to convey.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, it's like you shouldn't have more than 2 of your big hook.
Yeah, this.
Yeah.
That's my rule.
Above all else, this does not sound like a Van Halen track. It sounds more like an Extreme track because, like, after a while, they sort of Extreme in particular sort of divulged away from glam metal, and started doing like more sort of funk groove rock oriented sound.
Yes.
I want to say similar to like Suicidal Tendencies, but not quite.
Like it's like Van Halen. Actually, it was definitely in the style of Van Halen because they had a bit of that sort of 4 to the floor vibe to even on the early stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It is. It's just so long. I remember the first time I heard it. I was AAF was debuting it at 7 p.m.
R.I.P. WAF.
Yes, absolutely.
And I was listening to it a lot around this time. That's so funny.
So I went to the radio at 7 to listen. Like I'm anxious to hear this. And the moment he starts singing, I'm like, oh, that sounds like Sammy Hagar. Like, it sounds like Sammy Hagar. It doesn't sound like Gary Cherone at all. See, Gary Cherone sounded different in Extreme.
Yeah, he would have been like mid to late 30s by this point.
Yeah, he was younger than those guys,
And he sounds like he's in his mid to late 60s by now.
He does. He sounds like a raspier Hagar.
Like just being around Eddie Van Halen for that long has just like made him world weary.
Poor Gary.
I don't think I know a lot of Extreme other than More Than Words.
Right.
His voice is like, from what I remember, is like it was a little wasn't as high pitched or something.
Yeah, these songs are all out of his range. That's another thing on this record. It's why are the songs so high? You know, they changed what keys they would typically play in when they brought Hagar in.
Right.
You know, and so they are capable of doing that. These songs all need to go down as at least one step. It's crazy. He sounds like he's straining.
He does. He at times sounds like he's barely getting it out, and it does sound a lot more strained. So did they actually go on tour with Gary?
Oh, yeah.
They did, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But should we move on to the next track?
Sure.
All right, track number 3. This one titled "One I Want." Oh, the one I want. Okay, there must have been some mistake here. That last track sounded like an Extreme song, but this is clearly a Police song.
There's a line. Is there a line in this song where he says, "Pizza Man just wants a slice"?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
I brought them with me. All right?
I brought some lyrics too, but you go first.
Poor man, he just want a little. Rich man, want a little bit more.
Okay, social commentary. So far, so good.
Yes, okay. Superman, he looking for Lois.
What?
Salesman try to sell you his soul.
What?
Fat man, he's ordering seconds. Pizza man, he just want a slice. Bad man, looking for attention. A good man is hard to find. There's more.
Where am I?
Mailman, looking more like your daughter. What does that mean? So there's like a lot of trans mailmen in this guy's mailman looking more like your daughter. Straw man.
Oh, that is surprisingly woke for that period.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Straw man don't have a leg to stand on. Get it? Because he's made of straw.
Yeah.
Gay man looking for another. Candyman.
What is this song?
Candyman. Yeah, the Candyman. Black man.
wait.
Oh,
Not even
boy.
gonna. It's
No,
like Candyman.
he's there.
Yeah,
Candyman also
yeah,
there.
it's the Candyman.
Yeah. Black man, he looking for justice. White man try to get a tan.
What?
Woman.
Oh, you know, that type of man. The woe
man.
one.
She just wanted to fly in first class, which is actually surprisingly woke for that period.
What is this song?
Holy man.
Women were not allowed to fly first class.
I think he's saying in society.
Oh, okay.
Like they should be also number one, which I think we could all agree with.
Yeah.
So, holy man, take me to the promised land. Everyone's looking for something. You're the one I want.
Great.
Yep.
That took us on a very weird, wild journey to get to hey.
What do you want to have dinner on Saturday?
What do you think?
I mean, that's not even talking about like just the part where the music cuts out and then he just brings it back in with Boogeyman.
Yeah, there is a boogeyman line. I didn't bring that one. I forgot.
Oh man. So one point that Van Halen 3 gets frequently dinged with is that it sounds less like a Van Halen record. Well, no shit. And more like an Eddie Van Halen solo record.
Yes.
As time has gone by, the evidence of that point is actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
After longtime bassist Michael Anthony left the band, he talked about the recording process in a Rolling Stone interview, stating that he'd been given rigorous and precise instructions from Eddie on how to play the bass parts on the song, only to be largely shut out of the sessions, not performing bass or backing vocals on much of the record.
Which, by the way, the backing vocals are the signature of the Van Halen sound.
Yeah. That was, I mean, I don't know much about Van Halen in general, but like Michael Anthony doing backing vocals seemed like a pretty big part of it.
Yeah.
Like that was always happening in like the videos and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, he was only permitted to play bass on 3 tracks. This one, Without You, and the later track, Fire in the Hole. Eddie recorded all the rest of the bass himself, as well as much of the drums.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
As he put it in the interview, I don't know if Eddie was basically making a solo record, which is what Van Halen 3 seemed like to me. At the same time, however, Cherone ended up contributing majorly to the shape of the tracks on Van Halen 3, having come to the sessions with lyrics pre-prepared, which was a different songwriting process than what Eddie was used to, as we mentioned.
Unfortunately, that shape of that sound was dodecahedron.
Oh boy. It's like that meme of like the person just looking around and seeing just equations everywhere.
Yeah.
Michael Anthony, like you said, he was shut out. And you can hear that bass is hardly there. But his backing vocals are a signature part of that band. And he's not in the band now. The son plays. Wolfgang, but he has those high vocals. It sounds right.
Yeah.
It didn't sound right on this record. It's a mess. Also, I just wanted to mention this. After this happened, when Michael Anthony was kicked out of the band, Eddie Van Halen would refer to him as Sobolewski. Sobolewski, wasn't really able to play, and we had to replace Sobolewski's parts. Michael Anthony's birth and last name is Sobolewski. So
this seems like deliberately disrespectful, considering like how long he's just been going as Michael Anthony.
Right, and no one knew who he was even talking about.
Oh man,
Eddie was very drunk at this time.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Eddie has his struggles. He looks great right now. He's been sober for years, and he looks
good on him for that.
Yeah, you can see when someone's been drinking every day for 10 years, and when they stop, you can see the health. He looks healthy, In
an interview with Guitar World, Eddie Van Halen said of this record, "I've been making music for 37 or 38 years, and never has somebody handed me lyrics to work with. This record is the biggest milestone in my life because the lyrics came first and then the music. I finally have something to bounce off of."
See, that is a backhanded slap to the other two singers.
Yeah, it kind of is.
I finally, I can write songs that I can
Finally, someone professional.
Right, yeah, God, because I couldn't write any hit songs with David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar.
Right.
I think Eddie Van Halen is just like a secret fucking narcissist, but he's always been in a position of someone being like more narcissistic than him.
I mean, on the other hand, it's like, finally, I'm Eddie Van Halen. I can write music to best encompass the deep lyrical content I'm sure my friend Gary Cherone will provide me. Yeah. What do you got for me, Gary? Boogie Man!
Pizza Man just bought a pizza pie. Ooh, I want Domino's. I think I'm going to order some Domino's.
If the pizza man wants a slice, why doesn't he just have a slice?
I mean, that comes out of his paycheck.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he's cutting into his own profits.
He's literally made of pizza. If he eats himself,
I don't think we're thinking of the same thing, Pat.
I'm going to be pizza man for Halloween and go get it, Van Halen 3.
Everyone will get it.
And then you'll have just free reign to get angry at everyone who doesn't get it.
That's right. Yes.
With that, we move on to track 4.
Yeah.
Track number 4, titled "From Afar."
Just to love you from afar.
You can hear Gary's Boston accent come out a bit when he says rest assured.
This wasn't released as a single, but I absolutely could see this being played on like WAAF or ZLX when it was still around.
This is my favorite song on this record.
Yeah, this one kind of slaps a little bit.
Yeah, it's got, and it's a song. I don't know how long it is. I'll check.
To steal a phrase from our friend Jim Schultz, it kind of slaps.
That's what all the kids say, though.
Yes, all the kids are stealing phrases from Jim Schultz.
He's pissed.
So this is the shortest song on the record at 5:24.
Oof.
And it's a decent song. It could be shorter, but it is my favorite song on this record. But it's not. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't really like it either. The choruses bother me because he's like doing falsetto.
Yeah.
But I don't want him to be doing falsetto because it makes me like less excited about
the vocals
chorus.
kind of weirdly drop in volume during like...
That's what it is.
You can hear it during the chorus, and then there's like that middle part where he's just like... and like he's hiding.
Yeah, the mix is just awful.
It's awful.
And it's super flat, and like... And because of that, you're missing out on... what is actually like probably one of the catchier riffs on this record.
Yeah, it is. I think there are. I don't quote me on this, but I think that there are 6 engineers on this record.
Really?
And that happened. Well, Mike Post, I don't think finished the project. I think he quit halfway through. So maybe Eddie did the mixing with his burnt out ears.
I can see that.
Yeah.
You have to focus on that Law and Order theme.
What I was gonna say, like, since you mentioned riffs, like all the up to this point so far, this album is kind of low on hooks, I would say.
Very, yeah.
Which isn't great for a Van Halen record, considering how good they were at crafting a hook up to that point.
So I'm not like I'm definitely not the hugest Van Halen fan, but I appreciate what Eddie Van Halen has done for the guitar because it was pretty revolutionary at the time.
Yeah,
what he was
and like
doing.
for all that we're gonna crap on this album for, there's no dearth of like crazy guitar stuff happening.
And those and like there's what makes those first, few records so great, and even up through 1984, it's just it's the hooks and but he's doing it in a way that's also virtuosic.
Yeah,
Right.
he was also a great rhythm player. A lot of people don't give him credit for that. His underneath rhythm parts that hold everything down. But getting back to that idea that it was like a solo record, this record would have been better without the vocals, and I don't mean that as a slight to Gary Cherone, but it sounds like a Steve Vai album if you take the vocals out.
Oh yeah,
Kind of does.
You know what I mean?
Very noodly.
Like passion and war. Very noodly. There's so much noodling going on this record. And if you remember my old club, I'm anti-noodle. Do you remember I had the
Yes.
sign on the stage, no noodling?
Yes, I remember that now.
That sign
Oh,
either
boy.
made people laugh or made people mad.
That makes me so happy to hear that people got pissed off at that.
It's just a joke, but yeah, people got mad at that, yeah.
Oh boy.
Some people make a living off noodling.
Yeah. like Steve Vai, like we mentioned.
Right.
So Sammy Hagar, who originally replaced David Lee Roth back in the mid-'80s, had an interesting 2011 Rolling Stone quote that theorized why this album was so lacking in hooks that also touched upon Eddie Van Halen's writing process. As he put it, Eddie always said, "I have all this music, so much music." Well, they aren't really songs. They're really not. It was always easy for me to write songs with Ed. He had all these parts and I had these ideas. I'd be like, "Oh, go to B over there for a bridge. Write a bridge, Ed." He'd do it and it would be some badass shit, but it wasn't like he wrote instrumentals and I just had to write lyrics over them like I do now with Joe Satriani and Chickenfoot. I mean, not anymore. This is an old interview.
Yeah, that's over too, yeah.
Joe writes friggin' instrumentals. Ed doesn't have any songs. I'm sorry, I love the guy's guitar stuff, but play me a song, would you?
Yeah, well, that goes back to what we were saying. I've never heard that quote. That's funny.
Yeah. 2011 interview from Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Wow, that's right before they reunited with David Lee Roth too.
David Lee Roth.
David Lee Roth, yeah.
Oh, boy. So, I mean, as okay as this song is, as far as Van Halen attempting to navigate their way through the late 90s goes, once again, this does not need to be 5 minutes and 24 seconds long.
No. And
This-
as the shortest song on the
Yeah,
record.
no kidding. These songs definitely have a tendency to overstay their welcome. And for ones that are slim on hooks without being like a prog rock song, that's
Right.
really not a great place to be.
And the structure again is it's all over the place. It's a little better than most of the other songs, but it's a huge problem. It was just was really keeping me from wanting to be engaged with it.
I mean, what would be the hook in a song like this? The part where Gary Cherone goes, or the part where the guitar echoes a little bit?
I think that's it.
That's the part.
Okay, glad we sussed that out. You guys want to move on from that? Track number 5?
Yeah.
Track number 5. Oh, you were talking about Boston earlier. Gary Cherone's totally showing his Boston on this title. So the title of this song. Sounds like you have some opinions on this one, Pat.
Yeah.
Track number 5, titled "Dirty Water Dog." I mean, you can't see it since it's an audio medium, but it sounded like Pat was trying to leave his body. Like he was trying to astral project out of
I was
himself.
trying to. He pronounces bone really weird in the chorus. He's like, "Burn." So I was trying to recreate it in my own sort of high register voice, and I was trying to figure out what he was doing with his nostrils. I don't know.
So this is probably the most Van Halen sounding track thus far, even if it does tend to drift weirdly into the Heart of Rock and Roll by Huey Lewis territory. And boy, listen to that trebly guitar. Is slap guitar a thing?
Oh,
Because that's
God.
totally the vibe I'm getting from that.
It's slap guitar that doesn't slap.
It's overly compressed, clean guitar.
It's the tone of this record is terrible. And Eddie's guitar tone is the thing. So he's like, let me just not do what I'm known for at all.
Oh, man.
And put all this digital processing on my guitar.
Well, his tone was super simple back in the day. It was just he didn't even have the distortion up all the way. He would just
Crank the amp.
Yeah, he would just put it at 3, but compress the hell out of it.
Yeah, a lot of the sound came from the fact that he made his guitar. The verses the lyrics on this. There's one that's a weird double negative. Let me see if I can. I'm trying to find it.
There's some issues with the lyrics.
While you're looking for that, here's the here's the chorus, which I'm sure will age brilliantly and timelessly. When heavy is the weight of the world and the river runs a little too deep, like a dirty water dogging a bird, sometimes a certain Tom's he got a peep.
I thought he said certain times he's got to pee.
I'm a pika boy looking at girls, and I like what I see.
That's the most David Lee Roth thing on this entire record. Hey, I like looking at girls. All right, I like what but he could say it and only sound semi-creepy.
Drop my pencil.
He also says, this is not the lyric I was looking for, but he says, but what I do know, I know feels natural, is I'm a red-blooded heterosexual.
I remember that. Yeah, I wrote that down.
What? Oh, that's...
So here's the lyric I was looking for.
Just
did I
woof.
lose it? Did I lose it again? It's
Big woof there.
Yeah.
He says, I don't want to find religion or another man's opinion. I can't choose what's not my opinion.
Okay.
What?
Why is that worth mentioning?
I can't not say.
That's not some bold statement.
Can't not say. So can you say it?
I can't tell you not why I am not able to do that negatively.
So before we move on from this song, I just want to touch real quick on the intro to this song because it features a part that made me go, huh?
Okay.
Like here's a clip from the intro. What was that?
I thought something fell over.
That's exactly what it sounds like someone dropped a pipe.
Good job.
Yeah. Like,
It's
just like, here I am, Eddie Van Halen of the titular band named after me, ready to record this hard-rocking hard rocker jam, as is my custom. Just as soon as I prepare my lucky songwriting pipe wrench. and then I'll just, beans. Oh, dang it.
Tell me you didn't record that. No, we got it.
Oh, dang it.
And we're out of tape. That's it.
Goofed. Eddie done goofed up.
Let's keep it.
Consequences will never be the same.
You can just clip the beginning. Nope, we got to keep it. Sorry.
That's fine.
I'm going to sample that into an industrial song sometime.
That's what it sounds like. That's another Nine Inch Nails moment.
Like that, is it dumb that that's my favorite part of the song? Just hearing him drop his lucky pipe wrench on the ground.
I liked the intro of the song, but then, as soon as the lyrics came in and he started singing about being a creepy dog.
Yeah, before he started singing a song that just basically goes, politics, screw that, I want to look at them wimmers.
Right, and then later on there's a politics song. You know? And also, it's not his only creepy pervert lyric either. That happens again later.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to track number 6?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Okay, track number 6, titled Once. No relation to the venue in Somerville. In case you didn't know. So here we have our first taste of the other big criticism Van Halen 3 gets dinged with, the heavier focus on experimental ballads, which is very much out of Van Halen's wheelhouse of big rockin' songs.
Right, and you can't even slow dance to it. Like, you couldn't play that at a party.
You cannot.
No, it's just like, it's perfect.
Again, it's the structural nonsense.
What exactly is this song like? What occasion is this song appropriate for?
Graduation from dog training school.
It's the montage at the end of the Olympics.
It's definitely some kind of PowerPoint presentation. That much I'll say.
Or when you get voted off of American Idol and they show the clips of you, what got you to this place. But there's a creepy lyric. Have you ever been touched once? Whoa, really touched? Could it ever be too much? Whoa, oh. Can you tell me?
Oh boy. Have you ever been touched? Whoa, I wasn't expecting an answer.
So,
7 minutes and 44 seconds.
Oh boy.
Yes. It fucking repeats the chorus 9 times.
This is turning into Calling All Stations, if you think about it.
Dude, it really is. I was just gonna say that it came out the same year. It's It's a new singer, like the only fucking album with that singer from
And it's just wildly out of character and not in an interesting way.
Yeah.
I mean,
weird, like shitty digital production.
yeah. Yes, that's kind of laudable that they're trying to do some stuff with textures and ambience, but after all the rockers, this just kind of sticks out awkwardly.
Right? Yeah. Call it something else. Make it a side project so that people aren't disappointed.
This would make much more sense so far as an
Or
Eddie
just
Van
do it
Halen side
better.
project.
I don't know what else
Or that.
to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Pat.
The song just isn't any good. It's
I
fucking stupid.
think you fixed Van Halen 3, Pat.
Make it better.
Write better songs. Like it's like baseball. Just keep hitting those balls. Score more
Patrick
points.
S. Berry, 2020. Make it better.
Make it better.
I don't have the answers. Just make it better.
So even though I don't care much for Once, nor even for much of the other ballads on VH3, the whole ballad thing that the record gets dinged for is, I guess, a little bit unfair, because the band had already been kind of toying with ballads before Cherone hooked up with the group.
Oh, yeah.
Especially during the Hagar era
Yeah,
with
for
tracks
sure.
like In a Simple Rhyme and When It's Love and that sort of stuff. I might
Like Right Now could be kind of a ballad.
And a Simple
Yeah.
Rhyme's a Dave song. But How Do I Know When It's Love is a Sammy song. And there was another one too. Love Comes Walking In. Love Walks In.
Right.
That was another. And you could play that. In fact, they did play that at dances when I was in school.
I might suggest that the only reason Van Halen 3 got stuck with this accusation particularly hard as opposed to previous stuff is just the mere presence of Gary Cherone. Unless you're an extreme fan, and unless you're an extreme fan, you probably don't know his style very well beyond More Than Words, because that was, like, for a lot of people, that's like the only song a lot of people know by Extreme.
Yeah, you know what? Here's a weird side note. That song was huge. More Than Words was huge.
Right.
At that time, when people were going to the record store to buy compact discs, if you could return it. You could bring it back and they'd either buy it back or give you a refund. And this, it's called, first of all, the album's called Porno Graffiti.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
That record is the most returned album in rock and roll history because...
Really?
Yeah, because people who listen to Magic and Wish and like light rock stations were expecting 10 versions of More Than Words, not a heavy metal album with More Than Words in the middle of it. So they'd go home, listen to it, and bring it back to the record store. It was the most returned album in history.
I thought that I had read somewhere that Monster by REM was one of the most returned albums in history, too.
Yeah, that could
And
one of
like
them,
on
too.
the Oasis episode we did a little bit back, the Be Here Now was also one that got returned a lot in the UK.
Wow. There you go.
So that's interesting.
There's a list of the most returned records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should look for that sometime.
Yeah, that'd
Oh,
be a
yeah,
good
that'd
one.
be a good one to
All right.
do a
So
topic on. Just
this
like
song
a grab
is
bag.
this song is pretty meh in
Oh,
general.
it's terrible. It's forever.
And it's just more of that overly washed out production. It's just
And there's
no,
also
thank
a
you.
guitar solo on top of the guitar solo, like left and right.
Yeah,
and it's like
there
hurts.
is.
It's like it's conflicting and weird and not in a good way.
Like, what is this sub Esquivel shit you're trying to
Right.
play?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was like 9 repeats of the chorus at the end, too. It was way too fucking many times.
Right. And it doesn't sound like a chorus, no
And he
matter
doesn't
how
have
many times.
the voice just doesn't sound good. It's
No.
just the tone is just terrible. It's way out of his range, and like the verses where he kind of brought it down a little more, and I actually kind of liked it at the beginning. But then as soon as he started singing the choruses, I instantly hated it. And then hearing it over and over and over again, I was like, this is fucking terrible. I was ready to say that this was my favorite song because I thought it was kind of interesting, and then he just fucking ruins it.
Yeah, this song does get ruined. That's a good way to put it.
'Cause it was actually like the atmosphere was like kind of cool at the beginning. It was weirdly like almost Depeche Mode-y, but then like it, yeah.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I'm like in the context of this record.
Is this still the song with the pipe that falls at the beginning? Or
No,
was that,
that
two
was
songs ago?
that was Dirty Water
All right,
Dog.
sorry.
You get it? I'm laying the pipe down because I'm a dirty dog.
I won't make that mistake twice. I'm keeping my lucky pipe wrench out of the recording studio.
Did not happen again.
Oh boy. Here's track number 7. Track number 7 titled Fire in the Hole. So this was another single from the album. It reached number 6 on the mainstream rock charts, but it's probably best remembered for its appearance on the soundtrack to the movie Lethal Weapon 4.
Oh, I
And it's-
forgot about that.
Yep.
I knew about it, but I forgot about
And
it.
it's pretty unexceptional.
Yeah.
It's a perfectly standard rock song that doesn't go to any interesting places. Gary Cherone is still a screaming rock man, and Eddie Van Halen still knows how to play every single note at the exact same time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It's
that's
not.
it.
It's just again, I have to take issue with the structure. It's just nonsense.
Yeah.
I can't get into it.
No, you can't grab onto any of it.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's the same problem as the first single.
Yeah,
In fact, it's
once
like
again,
very
no
similar.
hooks. No hooks
Yeah.
to be seen.
But the dental imagery. Are you hip to the dental imagery?
Excuse me?
In a word to the wisdom tooth,
I'm already on board.
Oh. to tell or not tell the truth. So open up and say, amen. Rinse, cup, and spit again.
Go on.
Forked tongue in doublespeak. Pretty soon you just might spring a leak. What does that mean? Inhale before you begin. Your iron lung is a bag of wind.
That is, don't ever go to that dentist ever
That's a
again.
bad dentist.
Oh, man.
So this song is like a root canal.
I guess it is.
Gary, like at the dentist that day, just like writing down lyrics.
I guess so.
Sir, can you put down that notebook? We need to rest this towel over you.
Verse 2 should have said, free toothbrush, free dental floss. Thanks, I'll never use these. Fire in the hole.
Lollipops for
He's like, "Can you put
lollipops for the kids.
The fire in the hole is it's his tooth. It's got a big hole in it. Yeah, that hurts. If you've ever had a toothache, it's like a fire in a hole.
It really is. It's a cavity hole. Sure.
Yeah. And that's what the world needed, was a rock and roll song about having a toothache.
I mean, why not? We've already written
least
songs
it's about something.
We've written songs about literally everything
Yeah,
else.
well, that's what happened. Where the rock and roll was out of ideas, and Gary Cherone
Yes.
found a new one.
So
Rock and
it's-
rolls.
He's
yeah.
like Seinfeld,
Yeah.
writing about the mundane stuff.
That's right.
So, considering all the public spectacle the band dealt with leading up to I almost said VH1.
Yeah.
Leading up to Van Halen 3's recording, this album may have been doomed from the start. It began when the band parted ways with Sammy Hagar in '96. Hagar had been dealing with tensions between him and the rest of the group for years, and it all came to a head over disagreement to record new tracks for a compilation album and for the soundtrack to the film Twister. As Hagar said,
Oh, yeah, I remember that song from Twister. It's ridiculous.
As Hagar said in interviews, the final straw came when the band demanded he return to their recording studio in Los Angeles from Hawaii, where he was with his wife, tending to the birth of their child. In the ensuing argument, Hagar was fired, though Eddie Van Halen claimed that he in fact quit. Hagar's exit led Eddie Van Halen to seek long-exited singer David Lee Roth out to record new songs for the compilation. The press from this almost certainly helped said compilation, Best of Volume 1, go to the top of the sales charts. And to help further promote the band, they agreed to present an award at the '96 MTV Video Music Awards. This would be the band's first public appearance with the original lineup in 11 years, and stoked all kinds of rumors of a reunion tour and a new studio album.
Yes.
But weeks later, it was announced that Roth was out again for a variety of reasons, among them being Eddie's embarrassment towards Roth's onstage antics at the MTV Video Music Awards.
Which were not that big of a deal.
Out of curiosity, I looked up a video clip of it, and it pretty much just amounts to Roth doing a jaunty little dance behind Beck.
Oh, yeah.
It's just nothing. It's nothing. They're just
Yeah,
having a
he's
good
just messing
time.
around, and then like Eddie Van Halen was like, "The next time you fucking do that, I'm gonna punch you in the face."
Yeah.
like he literally
Yeah.
gets on TV and like threatens him.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, David Lee Roth is a showman. Oh my god, and he's kind of full of himself. Like,
An interesting thing
that's
about
his character.
Yeah.
when Dave left and Sammy came in, almost all the Van Halen fans, you almost had to pick a side.
Yeah.
And almost all the Van Halen fans stuck with the band because you can see David Lee Roth being an asshole.
Yeah.
What you can't see is Eddie Van Halen being an asshole because in the videos he's just playing guitar. He's more reserved of a human being. David
He
Lee
knows
Roth's
how to
playing-
hide it.
You could look at it and go, I could see Dave driving me nuts. You know, but as time goes by and they keep going through all these changes, you realize that Ed is the problem. You know,
Yeah, he's just easier. He's just better at hiding it, I guess.
yeah, he's back there playing guitar.
All right, let's move on to track number 8, shall we?
Oh God,
Oh, whoa. what's
Sounds
this
like you've
one?
got some issues with this next one.
yeah, that's weird.
Track number 8, titled Josefina.
Oh.
Josephina, if I asked you, would you tell me? Back from the fancy, dreams in between. Tell me a story all about yours truly. Photograph from the past.
I have no notes for this one except to say that it's painfully okay.
Yeah.
I mean, listening to it again, it kind of sounds a little Bad Company-ish, but beyond that, it's just like, yes, this was certainly an acoustic song-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and like it's funny because there's a not like very complicated chord structure happening, but it still doesn't really make sense to me. I'm still having issues with the structure. I'm still not like latching onto anything. It just seems like, I don't know.
And here's your pervy lyric of this song.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
boy.
Did you get your head lost in a daydream? Cinderella waiting for her charming. Did you break a heart like little girls often do? Pigtails and painted toes, all dressed up in your mother's clothes.
Oh, no.
Who's he singing about?
Oh, no.
No, man.
Oh,
I can't wait till
I mean-
you're 18, Josephina.
I mean, the 90s
I
were
made
not
that last
necessarily a terribly woke period of time,
No.
but we're well past that sort of, songs about jailbait period.
Yeah, very
Well,
strange.
it's that and just being like condescending, be like, oh, you're just like your mother anyway. Like, it's fucking.
Yeah,
gross.
like,
Kind of
yeah.
is.
It's like, just leave that in your weird 17-year-old incel bedroom, please.
Right, and it's a ballad again. So picture slow dancing with a girl, and the song is about how you're wearing your mother's clothes, and you're a little. That's just bizarre. It just
Yeah,
doesn't
let's-
make sense.
That is the most awkward slow dance of all
Ever.
time.
Yep.
I don't agree. I don't agree.
And what
with
was
this.
that one rhyming charming with?
Yeah,
What did he rhyme
whatever.
charming with?
He said, he was talking
Smarming.
about smarmy. Did you get your lost head in a daydream? Cinderella waiting for her charming.
Oh, I don't like that at all. If there's one thing I hate, it's those terrible, terrible slant rhymes.
Did you break a heart like little girls often do?
I can forgive I can forgive certain slant rhymes, but that one is just no. Fuck off. Oh boy. I don't have much else to say about this one. Do you guys?
No.
No, I still don't like it.
Okay.
I haven't found any song that I like yet.
All right. Maybe this one will change your mind. Not likely, but we can hold out hope. Track number 9, titled Year to the Day. Oh, look, another ballad.
You should put all your ballads in a row on your album.
Oh,
They should
yeah.
all be back to back to back, so it's, get them over with.
Yeah, just
That's
put
where
it
you
on
take
one.
your bathroom
Just put it
break.
on one side of the record. Just
8 minutes and 30 seconds long.
Ugh.
Oh God, yeah, this
Come
one
on.
just went on forever. This
Eddie
song
Van
went on for
Halen
fucking
badly
ever.
needed an editor for this, clearly. I mean, I guess it's a little more interesting than once by the way it plays with, like, the sort of quiet, loud dynamic, and, it's got an okay Eddie solo as if any of the other ones didn't, but it's still just kind of okay in practice, and again, it's 8 minutes and 34 seconds long.
Yep.
So I do most of my album listening on YouTube when we're putting these episodes together, so I get to see a lot of comments from the regular type peoples.
Yep.
From what I've seen, there's a pretty sharp divide between the true believer superfans who think everything Van Halen did was the absolute tops,
Yeah.
and people who are disappointed that the band didn't get back to basics after years of ballad experimentation with Hagar. At the very least, it's good to know, I feel, that some people understand that all the ballad stuff started under Hagar, and maybe a little bit with David Lee Roth, too, and it's just unfair to put it all on Gary Cherone like so many other fans and music journalists had. But I mean, after closer examination, fuck him.
Well, I mean, like, to be fair, Gary Cherone was like probably most well known at the time for a ballad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he probably didn't get a fair shake from fans initially.
Right.
Especially once they listen to the record. It's hard. Like, okay, I'm going to give you a shot. How about the mixed metaphors? So he goes from a guy in bed to a farmer to a guy taking drugs to an American patriot in one.
I mean, this could all be the
stanza.
same person.
That's true. You're right about that.
Farmers do sleep.
And also, he expects nothing to change and also for something to change. So I woke up yet another day expecting more of the same except for a subtle change. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And that is, I'm slowly fading away. Harvest moon soon will pass. Crop is gone. Left only,
Crop's gone.
left only chaff.
Oh, just the chaff, yeah.
A bitter
That is-
pill.
That is one tortured metaphor.
It's just a bitter pill and overcast.
Wait, hang on. We're going from bitter pill metaphors to weather metaphors.
To
after we just got out of farmer metaphors.
Right, to a flag unfurled at half mast.
Ooh.
So somebody died, and I don't know.
Specifically, maybe someone in the armed forces.
So I woke up expecting it's just going to be another day and also change. After my crops die, I'm going to pop some pills, and it got cloudy, and then somebody died. That's that song.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate him paying that much attention to our low pressure system, but I mean, it doesn't make for a terribly compelling song, is all.
I feel like I feel like I know Gary Cherone for some reason. Him just like being a Bostonian and a terrible lyricist. Just like I don't know, something about it just like about that just makes sense.
I mean, I'm sure we've met plenty of terrible lyricists from Boston.
Yes, for sure. But I don't remember him being this bad of a lyricist. Like, the lyrics are bad.
He's like trying way too hard.
Yeah.
Problem.
He's looking for, like, he's trying to be deep at times, I think.
Right.
You know?
And, like, consider that these were all songs that he came to Van Halen with, for the most part.
Yeah. Right, so they're not even really Van Halen songs.
Right.
Not that you needed me to tell you that.
Right.
Just
A
listen
part
to
of
it.
me kind of wonders if, like, maybe he would have made a better, like, legacy touring vocalist than a full-fledged band member.
Right, which is what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Because, like, there was a tour for this album that, from what I understand, was well-received among critics, even though sales were very poor.
Right. And a very crazy thing happened when they played in Boston. They played at Great Woods. It's Gary's return home with his new band. 3 songs in, he pops a vocal cord, song is canceled, tour gets postponed, and they never made up the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Dang.
Yeah.
I mean, that, if anything, that kind of speaks to what you were talking about, Pat, about how it's just completely out of his range.
Well, that's just
maybe that's just all that, just finally reaching ahead.
Yeah. Could
I
be.
mean, he had to emulate 3 different singers. He had to be David Lee Roth, fucking Sammy Hagar, and himself.
Yeah. And they were playing songs from all 3 eras, you know?
Right. Should we move on to track 10?
Yeah.
Track number 10. This one is titled Primary.
Thank you.
So this song, if anything, says to me, I'm trying to make lightning strike twice with this sequel to Eruption, and it's very soft lightning.
On sitar.
Right, that's the thing. It doesn't even sound like a sitar.
Yeah.
He processed it into sounding like a bad guitar. Like
it's like he got one of those special MIDI controller pedals where, like, one of those
on
things was
Instagram.
just like,
You ever see those ads?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
It's like, you know what I'm talking about, though. It's one of those things where it's just like, I'm playing guitar, but now it sounds like a banjo.
Right.
I mean, maybe if it's
Variax.
is that what it's called?
The Variax, yeah.
Oh, man.
They have those ones that like make it sound like an organ too. So let's get an organ.
Yeah.
Hire me. I play organ. You put me out of a goddamn job.
So I don't know what to say about this. I mean, Eddie Van Halen is clearly a skilled guitarist, but I still don't care all that much for this song or any song that exists just to spotlight technical instrumental acumen. So it's fine. He's clearly skilled, but it's not very compelling.
Yeah, he's actually there. There are a million great rock guitar moments on this record, but they're literally moments. This isn't one of them, by the way. But on a lot of the songs, it's a cool riff, never happens again. Interesting solo. That's the best part of the whole song.
Once again, coming back to no hooks on the album.
Yeah, they're not really songs, you know.
It's always super quick too, because I've noticed that too. There were like a few times it's like, oh, actually that riff was kind of cool. Oh wait, it's gone.
It's gone, yeah.
And it will never come back.
And it's never like, and who writes a song that way? Catchy riff, only for 3 seconds.
I mean, Blenderhead, clearly.
Oh, yeah.
From our last episode.
Oh, that's right.
So
Come on the show sometime, Monday.
Yeah, come review Love Beach with us in 13 years. So, since I didn't have a lot to say about this track, I just want to quickly draw attention to something very silly in the liner notes of this album. Under production, you get the requisite credits for engineers, producers, art direction, etc. I got this from Discogs. Credited under mixing and mastering is simply the Edward, which sent me on a magical mystery journey into the deepest recesses of my mind when I read that on Wikipedia, trying to parse a name like the Edward.
Right.
The Edward Van Halen.
Did you go looking for him?
Yes, I looked for it on Discogs, and it turns out it's just Eddie
It's
Van
just
Halen.
him, yeah.
Which is far less exciting.
He threw "the" in front of his name and started an internet mystery.
But that just leads me to believe, though, that the Edward is like his superhero secret identity. Except instead of fighting crime and bettering humanity, he mixes and masters records.
Oh, well.
Also credited with mixing and mastering, the name Robs.
Good old Robs.
That's it, just Robs.
Okay.
Even looking up on Discogs, there's nothing about this mysterious character.
Who is Robs?
Whose only other credit is mixing and mastering a cover to the theme song to The Sopranos.
So he works for Mike Post.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe that is Mike Post.
Yeah.
The Edward and Robs.
Right. Robs is probably like his engineer, the house engineer.
The Batman and Robin we never asked for.
That's right.
They were two interns.
I'd watch that cartoon if it was based on those actual two people as superheroes.
Right.
Well, like Edward, there's a crime. Hold on, I have to take this pill and become the Edward.
Right. You don't want to make me angry.
Right. And my ward, my trusty ward, the Robs.
I told you to quit calling me that. So up to this point, for me at least, a lot of these songs have been either not much to speak of or just not very good. Now we're getting to two songs that I absolutely hate. Yeah. Starting with this next track number 11, The Ballot or the Bullet.
Oof. I choose.
What you gonna do?
Wait, so I choose Bullet? That's what I'm going to do. I was going to vote, but instead I'm going to shoot you.
Man,
that
made me think.
That is the last vestiges of a band desperately trying to keep its head above water, right? When just out of nowhere, with no previous predilections towards social issues, they make a big political song to show their sudden wokeness.
Yeah,
well, it's been a problem on previous tracks, right? Because that he's trying to say something.
Yeah, they're just kind of dipping their toes into it. Now this one, they're just going all in. And it's also the only song with a hook, and it's terrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So here's the thing that it's like I know he didn't mean for this. He's probably a very nice man. One thing about like art and records, I try not to just shit on them because someone's hard work, and I've made songs and some of them are good and some of them weren't so good. I try to put the not so good ones out, but that's another story. Ballad or the Bullet is a quote from Malcolm X.
Yeah,
you know?
Malcolm X references from the guys behind Dance the Night Away and Hot for Teacher.
Right.
And I was even thinking of a band that I used to listen to when I was a kid, Corrosion of Conformity, had a song called Vote with a Bullet back in like 1991.
So if you're going to quote Malcolm X, which you probably shouldn't in your own context like this, because it's not, he gave new meaning to what Malcolm X said.
Oh, are you going to share some of that philosophy with us?
Well, sure. First of all, the line
that deep Howard Zinn philosophy.
The line he never should have said is, when we face the adversity, when we face the adversary, we are no longer the minority. Because he's aligning himself with, I'm as black as Malcolm X. Which is weird.
Not good.
But there's some Patrick Henry in there too. He says, give me liberty or give me death. No truer words have ever been said. There was nothing more true than that. Right?
When history repeats her hour, the pendulum will swing into power. Though not in vain like our forefathers, freedom never had no room for cowards. For in the end there will be equality by any means necessary.
Our forefathers' work was in vain? The Constitution is in vain?
Apparently Gary Cherone hates
Talk about
America.
unfurling a flag at half mast.
No kidding.
It's 1998. The economy was actually like pretty good.
This is like a high school understanding of political theory.
Right,
God,
that's
yes.
exactly what it is. It's got
like,
all the quotes.
Government is
Like not
icky.
saying anything, but you just know they think they're just being super deep.
Right.
And on top of that, it's just attached to a forgettable grunge rock song.
Yeah.
Long after grunge was out the door.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this was like around like 1997, 98. What was the big thing around that time? Were we into nu metal yet?
No, we were. We were kind of at the beginning of it technically because like Korn and Deftones were already like doing shit at this point.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
97, 98 was like a big time for like electronic.
Oh
tinged
yeah, that's
rock.
when that was like Prodigy and Chemical Brothers.
Oh,
Like,
right,
that
that
stuff.
makes sense.
We're at like the tail end of Britpop, so and we're starting to get like more electronic-y
Right.
British
So
stuff.
they're
It's like
very-
Massive
But
Attack
a lot of the
and shit.
Seattle bands are still around at that time.
Right.
You know, still like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden.
And
are
a lot
still
of the
Soundgarden just broke up.
a lot
in
of the bands that
97.
those
Yeah.
bands begat too, like Collective Soul and Live. And all that
right,
sort
like
of
the
stuff.
fake grunge stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like Our
Like
Lady Peace
post-grunge.
and Live were probably like pretty big around that point.
Post grunge.
Yeah, it just sounds like post nasal drip.
Or like
Mike post-grunge.
Am I right? I'm so glad we both thought of that at the same
It's
time.
amazing.
Oh, man. I mean, I guess we should be glad we didn't get the Van Halen electronic big beat album then.
No.
That would have been...
David Lee Roth wanted to make that record. He wanted the comeback record to be done by the Dust Brothers.
That would have been...
Oh my God, a jungle beat Van Halen.
Yeah, you know?
That would have been intolerable.
Yeah.
It would have been insane.
Oh, no.
It would have been better than this.
It's like that jungle beat Megadeth song that came out.
I guess we did dodge a ballad or bullet with this one.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Bullet or the ballad? Is that what you just said?
Ballad
that still
or the
works.
bullet,
That still
Ballad,
works.
bullet, or fucking...
Slow dance with me or I'll shoot you, little girl.
Oh, yeah.
That's the theme of this album.
And then you'll go to hell where you meet the boogeyman. So I've got good news and bad news, guys. The good news is this album is almost over. The bad news is the last track is called How Many Say I.
I'm on too strong when a little's too much. How many say I? Go on and say yes and really mean no.
Ugh. Just
the
oof.
worst Van Halen song ever, right there. That's the worst Van Halen song ever.
That
Yeah,
was
like
terrible.
as I mentioned earlier, I tried to find like YouTube comments and all this sort of stuff just to get an idea. No one was willing to defend this.
No.
Not even the Van Halen diehards.
Wow.
Like, here's a comment from YouTube user Crispy Cretin, who puts it, like Tom Waits if Tom Waits sucked. This November Rain light closing track. And it's not even one where Gary Cherone sings on.
That's the crazy thing.
It's instead deferred to Eddie Van Halen with Cherone on backing vocals. And, man, it's bad.
It's just so painful to listen to.
It's not very good.
No.
But oddly enough, Greg Coate from the Rolling Stone, who also gave the album 2 out of 5 stars, like said that he actually had some like positive things to say about it.
Wow.
So
Oh, did he?
compliments Eddie's vocals, saying, "How many say I finds the guitarist singing in a disarmingly appealing, nicotine-stained voice over a moody piano melody."
Oh, my God.
Like that's what Eddie Van Halen wanted you to
that's
think.
the
but
best
that's-
compliment he could come up with for that.
Well, like that's what he
was
wanted
going
you to think.
for.
That's what he was going for, but
Yeah.
it doesn't. It did not fucking like. It did not play out that way.
That
Just
line is
bad.
more poetic than, and it's a cliche city.
Yeah.
But it's more poetic than anything on this record is that line by that Rolling Stone writer.
So,
Critics made it sound more poetic than it really was.
what makes it extra silly is that...
Or shitty.
Yeah, shitty. What makes it extra shilly is clearly Eddie Van Halen is very bad at this, very badly singing on this. He himself criticized Michael Anthony's voice in a much more pleasant one to listen to on backing vocals, which I remind you, he was not permitted to sing on Van Halen 3, but here's what he had to say in a Billboard interview. But he's not a singer, he just has a range from hell. Mike was just born with a very high voice. I have more soul as a singer than he does. No, you don't. And you know, people always talk about Mike's voice on Van Halen songs, but that's a blend of Mike's voice and my voice. It's not just him.
Okay. I mean,
Boy,
that's
he was being shitty to Michael
yes,
Anthony.
he really was. That is true. They used to do Gang Ball, but it's Michael Anthony's voice.
Yeah.
And I there's a clip of them doing like in the 70s or early 80s, Party on the Patio by ZZ Top, which is a ZZ Top song where they trade, but the two singers trade back and forth.
That would
so
be
Mike
like
sings
Dusty
lead
Hill and
Billy Gibbons.
Right.
So the Dusty Hill part is a co-lead part is sung by Michael Anthony, and it's awesome. Yeah.
neat little trivia fact there.
There you go.
So this song is bad, and the best part is that no one is willing to defend it.
No.
That's the best thing about this
Except
song.
for Greg Coate,
Yes.
who still gave the record like 2.
Yeah. Fans and critics, apart from Greg Coate, consider it one of Van Halen's worst songs. There was a roundtable discussion by UltimateClassicRock.com about Van Halen 3 between their journalists, including the question, besides How Many Say I, which song would you be the first to cut? David Lee Roth once called it the screeching of a horse that went on for 6 minutes too long.
Which is 6 minutes long.
And
It is
even
6
Eddie
minutes
himself, probably trying to come up with an excuse, said of the song in a Billboard interview that he was forced to sing on the
Yeah,
track.
by who? No one
I
forced,
mean,
you
he was one of the producers.
Why wouldn't they just give Mikey a song to sing? Has he actually sang lead on a song?
No.
On a Van Halen song?
Not on a record, no.
Yeah, they should have just had him do it.
Yeah, he wasn't allowed there. This is just
Yeah.
piano, and it's unfathomable that this song is 6 minutes long. Like, how do they get 6 minutes out of this? You know,
It should have been like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Because his vocal delivery is like almost jocular, so it's like I can't take it fucking seriously. But like a minute and a half of my.
But he wants you to take it seriously so very badly.
And just from a grammar standpoint, I'll ask you a question. Have you ever looked down when a homeless person walked by?
Yes. Wait, hang on.
Right.
I just realized what you said.
Well, that's the lyric, right? Have you ever looked down when the homeless walk by? Sure, I'm sure we all have. It's hard to look at. How many say I? You said yes. You did not say I. I is not an answer to that question. How many say I? Maybe he means I as opposed to nay.
I mean,
are we voting?
My thinking was that he did like some kind of poetic, like, how many say I?
Yeah, it's a
like
weird,
just kind of getting all weirdly Elizabethan.
Right, maybe
it's a
that
weird
is
like syntax thing. Exactly. How many?
Which again
how
is
many
a weird.
say I?
Which again is a weird thing for Van Halen to be doing after so much party music.
Have you ever changed the channel when you saw a hungry child? How many say I?
Yeah, I mean those commercials are dumb.
Yeah.
Do you know something to be true and then deny it? How many say I?
Wow,
no one.
Dude.
Literally no one says I. Not one person. So I'm glad you asked because we cleared that up for you.
Yes, that was something that we were just clamoring to know.
Yeah.
So this song is pretty vile, but I would say it feels like the most appropriate way to end this botched experiment of a record with a song that even the primary creative force behind it doesn't want to take credit for.
Yeah, he was forced to do it. Just
Yeah,
like, you know.
he was forced to do it.
As a Van Halen fan, I was forced to listen to this record. And then due to GPS, I was forced to listen to it more when I couldn't find this house.
You have to listen to it twice.
Maybe we
I
should,
wanted to brush up on it.
maybe we should have apologized to you in the apology section.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm okay. I'm over it.
All right, let's run it again. Dun, 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 dun. No. Let's get to our final thoughts. Do you consider this a worst of all time album, Pat?
Let's get to our final apologies. Yeah. I didn't enjoy this record at all. I know it like there are points where it was painfully average, but it didn't like there's no moment where I got excited really, aside from maybe like a very quick snippet of a riff here and there. It was really difficult to listen to and just sad, just fucking sad. I don't know, and like I feel bad. I think Gary Cherone got a fucking shit hand. In this.
For sure.
Like I think he didn't deserve this. I don't think he was. Yeah, he just sounds like a little kid in like his dad's shoes. It's very out of place. And I couldn't get into any of it. I just couldn't get into any of it.
Same question to you, D. Do you think it's a worst of all time album?
Well, he called it painfully average, which I think is generous. It's terrible. It's not a good record in any way. Worst Van Halen record of all time. I'm sure it's hard to say it's worst of all time because I'm sure there's 100 records I've never heard that are worse. But am I sure of that? No, I'm not sure of that at all. This is a pretty terrible record. It's one of the worst records in my collection. It hurts my heart to say that. I'm a Van Halen fan. You know, the record.
It's a huge misstep, and like I think
terrible.
the fact that it's a band that you love so much makes it even worse.
Yeah,
like kind of how the Scream, the Chris Cornell album. I call that a worst of all time because I love and respect that dude so much, and that made me not respect him. So this is kind of like I don't respect what they put together here.
Yeah.
I was like, as for me, I was like going into this prepared to just say, yeah, it's painfully average. I wouldn't say it's worst of all time. But now listening to it again, I'm perfectly willing to say, yeah, this album is pretty putrid. I mean, just because of how painfully average it is.
Yeah,
because like
it's very calling all. It's reminding me of Calling All Stations.
It's rudderless. It's unfocused, while sort of teetering between unremarkable and adequate for much of its runtime, in spite of like there being a few very, very like seldom moments of like, yeah, this could be interesting.
It's so quick, it like doesn't even matter.
It's the longest album they ever put out. It's the first one to not go platinum.
Yeah. Because it's about an hour long or something.
I think
like
it's longer than
or
that.
65.
Yeah, I think it's like 65 minutes. I mean,
and like
it's way too.
That sitar solo is only a minute 27. That is the shortest song. I said something else was the shortest because it's not really a song.
Yeah.
No, it's more like an interlude.
Right, but like the shortest songs on here are 5 minutes long, or you know, and there's one that's 8, there's one that's 7, and there's one that's 6. That's ridiculous.
Oh boy.
2 that are 6.
I mean, I think New World was pretty short, but again, that's an intro. That's not
And it's going to be
not really a song.
And I had a great time at that wedding. I got really drunk.
At Christmas.
Yes, the eggnog was on point.
I mean, this album, like, Gary Cherone gets a lot of flack for it, but I think that's kind of undeserved.
Yeah.
And like, as we were talking about, Michael Anthony got very unfairly treated.
Yeah.
More than anything, this just feels like Eddie Van Halen getting way, 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 way too up his ass.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there was a sort of overcompensation on his part. I kind of brought it up earlier where he was working with all these big, extroverted figures, and now he kind of had this chance to
flex his own sort of artistic
shit
muscles.
and like, yeah, exactly. And like Gary Cherone, like, is younger dude. This is like a total fucking dream job for him. Like, so of course
it killed his career.
Yeah.
Gary Cherone now just does extreme reunions. He's in a Who cover band. He's never had anything.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, and I think it killed his career because he knew. I don't know. Maybe Nuno was the force behind Extreme. I don't know, but I do think Gary gets a bad shake. Yeah. But the record does suck, and he has some responsibility in that. He knows
That's
it
true.
sucks.
Oh, dude,
I mean, he did have every opportunity to exert a little more sort of.
I bet
a little more control.
I bet he wishes the brain he has now and the skills he had then could fix it.
I just remembered there was a series on, I think, VH1 in the 2000s called like, I forget what it was called, but the premise was basically like bringing bands back together that have broken up.
Yeah, the reunion.
The reunion
I remember
show,
that show.
I forget who was hosting it, but like they did one on that band that does Shooting at the Walls of Heartache, Bang Bang.
Scandal.
But they did one for Extreme, and it was the only episode that like didn't work out. Like they had to be like
They couldn't get everyone
together, and it was and Nuno was the guy who wouldn't fucking sign on.
And now they've reunited 100 times.
Yeah. Now he's like a big, solo guitar meedly guy, right?
Yeah,
he's in Rihanna's band.
Really?
When she played on Saturday Night Live.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's her guitar player.
That's an interesting bit of
trivia. He's a
trivia.
virtuoso, so he's actually like very,
yeah, he's probably high.
Level.
He's probably high in demand just to be like, we need an awesome solo here.
Yeah, he pops up. He does the, how Steve Vai does those tours, the G3 tours.
Right.
He's probably. I've seen him play with those guys. Guitar.
But yeah, they got everyone else was on board, and then like they drive over to Nuno's house, and like they wouldn't even fucking let him in. They're just like Nuno doesn't want to do it.
Nuno said no.
Nuno said no. no.
If one exists, Pat, what would you say is the best or least bad track on this
I
album?
don't fucking know. What was the one with the sitar? I guess the instrumentals were fine, but they were pretty like derivative. I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to go with. No, they're all terrible.
What was it? Is it One I Want? Is that the downbeat one?
The Police one?
No. It's after Without You. It's either that or it's not From Afar.
I think Fire in the Hole, maybe. Look
at us struggling to find a song.
I really couldn't find one. That was my big problem. That's why I was like not digging this album.
Do you have a best or least bad track on here?
Yeah, I had named the other one as my favorite one earlier in this here podcast. It was the one
that might have been From Afar.
From
I think
Afar,
you mentioned.
Yeah. And then if we're talking my least favorite, that last song. What's it called?
How Many Say I?
How Many Say I? Like, it's weird to me that I don't know the titles of a Van Halen record. Like I struggle to even remember what they're called.
That just speaks to how forgettable a lot of these songs are.
Yeah, I'll probably after today.
I don't remember it either.
Never listen to it again after today.
Yeah, so it's like you're getting your homework done.
Yep.
For me, my best / least bad track is "Dirty Water Dog," only for the pipe wrench.
That song was so goddamn stupid.
I mean, obviously we just heard from you what your worst track is. What would you say is your worst track, Pat?
I'm actually not going to go with How Many Say I, and I'm going to go with Once.
That's pretty terrible.
That song was like, I was kind of digging it at first, but then it just got so bad, and his vocal delivery is just, it just sticks the hell out. It's terrible. It's not very well executed at all.
For me, How Many Say I, that was pretty awful, but I was kind of expecting that in a weird way. So I'm going to give my worst track to Ballad or the Bullet.
Yeah.
For how many just stupid missteps there are lyrically.
Yeah.
On an album already filled with very stupid missteps. Oh, man. We did it, though. We made it through.
Yeah. We did it.
No one died.
We finally did it because this has been like
Not physically, anyway.
We've been putting out this episode for like a year now.
Yeah, this is an episode we've been trying to get going for a while, and we finally did it.
Yeah.
So
my schedule is insane. Like I have teenage kids and and 2 jobs, and it's just like
Yeah, but
I work a 3rd shift. It's like crazy.
Yeah, but thank you so much
Thank you for having me.
coming out to Ayer, cat swinging country, coming to the olfactory, and
Smelly.
and getting smelly with us.
That was good. I can't wait to go home and listen to it.
Do you have anything you want to plug as long as you're here?
I don't. I have nothing going on. I took a year off, plus a year and a half off from playing gigs and writing, and I just got burnt out. I played for 25 years, full time.
Wow.
And
Dang.
then I just did a gig in January, and it sort of got my juices going again. I did a one-night band in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
So
My friend Phil has been talking about that a lot.
Yeah, so we met. You meet your bandmates at 10 in the morning, and then the gig's at 8 at night. And you have to write 3 songs and learn a cover. And so...
Sounds a bit like doing it together fast.
Yeah, it's a similar concept. So
sounds like a lot of fun.
All in one day. And I had a guitar player, bass player, drummer, and a violin player. And it worked. It was great.
Oh, yeah. I think, I was... me and Phil were hosting On the Town with Mikey D a while ago. One of our guests were 2 members of the band Stormstress.
Oh, yeah.
And they were mentioning how they got to work with you, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're going to record that song.
Oh, that's going to be cool.
So I'm working on a record, but I don't know what it is yet. I know that it's not a hip hop record. That's all I can tell you.
Ah, very cool.
So sometime this year or next year.
Another secret project?
I think, yeah. So I think the working idea is this. Secret Project was all my music and different singers on every song. This time, I think I'm going to bring in musicians and sing every song. Wow. So, like an all-star cast of musicians. The songs are written, but I suck at guitar. So, I'm going to say, here, band, learn this. If awesome. So and I already have a pretty good lineup of people, but it's a record like that takes forever to make. So it won't be out for a year.
So be on the lookout for that.
For Secret Project 2, it's got the working title is
Electric Boogaloo.
Secret Project 2: Detention Sings the Hits.
I like it.
I'm into it. Pat, you got anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I guess I'll plug the Boz for Oz charity comp that just came out last week or on Valentine's Day.
It was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah. Which Wills has a track on it. So it's a benefit for the Australian wildfires. That devastated that whole continent. Which I guess they finally got the last one under control very recently. But yeah, they're basically we got 24 Boston adjacent ex-Boston people to come together.
New England in general, just to cover their favorite Australian artists. There's 3 Kylie Minogue songs on there. There's some Bee Gees. There's some Men at Work.
Yeah, Wills does a Triffids cover. Me and Gina do a fucking King Gizzard cover, and yeah, it's good shit.
You do a Hiatus Coyote song too.
That's right. So that's Boz for Oz at bandcamp.com. We just make sure.
How are you spelling that?
BOZ FOR space OZ.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to plug, I guess go check out the other Zero Science Network podcasts, Old Men Yell at Cloud, Clamshell Case Files, Discography Deep Dive. The latest Discography Deep Dive came out last week. I've been hosting it this season, talking about Sparks. And there should be a new... I finally got off my ass and started getting a new Sawtooth album together, so that will hopefully be out. I'm shooting for April, I want to say. It's titled Hostile Design, and it has a lot of guest appearances on it. A lot from previous guests, actually.
Very cool.
Todd's on it. Christopher Brown's on it. Lots of people.
Very cool. And wait, are you doing RPM? I forget.
I tried to, but I kept getting sick this month.
Yeah.
So
you got a new record coming out.
So
in a
that's.
couple months.
I mean, I'm working on a Fatigue record as well, but that'll be out when it's out. I was gonna get it out in February, but that's not feasible anymore.
All right. Well, I'll just interject real quick. Ease Into the Noise, another project that I work with sometimes, is doing an RPM this month. So we will have a new album out on March 1st.
There you go.
So check that out.
Very cool. Anyway, our theme song is Sunny Day by the band Froggy and the Friendship. You can check them out at froggyandthefriendship.bandcamp.com. If you got an album you want to suggest for us to review or just want to leave us some feedback or a comment, email us at jukeboxzerospodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/jukeboxzerospodcast or on Twitter at twitter.com/jukeboxzeros. You can find us, rate us, review us, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify. Or check out our archive main page at spreaker.com/show/jukebox-zeros. Jukebox Zeros is a production of the Zero Science Network. For more great podcasts, go check out zero-science.com. And that just about does it for Jukebox Zeros. I'm Lels.
And I'm Patrick.
And remember...
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Zero Science.